when everybody's in.
Okay, I'll let them in now. There we go.
Wow. Avondale mustn't be doing well.
Everyone's in? Okay.
Yeah.
If I can hear people.
I said to Pat when he took it, when he said he was going to take that on, I said,
are you able at least
and
to
that's a poison.
everyone? Oh, thank you. Good afternoon and welcome to this meeting of the Central Coast Local Planning Panel. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we live, work and play. We pay our respects to Dark and Jung country and elders past and present. We recognise the continued connection to these lands and waterways and extend this acknowledgement to the homelands and stories of those who also call this place home. We recognise our future leaders and the shared responsibility to care for and protect our place and people. This meeting is being recorded and webcast. There is to be no other recording or filming of this meeting. The panel's decisions from this meeting and the audio recording should be available on Council's website ordinarily well within 7 days from the meeting. I'd now ask everybody to please turn your electronic devices to silent and to stay on mute unless you're speaking.
Yeah.
All right. Panel members. The panel members for the meeting today are myself, Cara Creason, I'm the chair. We have two expert professional panel members, Michael File and Michael Ryan, and the nominated community panel member is Mark Elsley. There are no apologies for today. So the following development applications that meet the state government's public meeting criteria are listed for today. There is one, it's item 3.1, which is for 69 Avoca Drive, Avoca Beach, alterations and additions to the existing theatre. Where the panel is also considering 3 items outside of the public meeting, and that's item 4.1, temporary use of land for outdoor entertainment events at Shelley Beach Golf Club, 86 Bonnie View Street, Shelley Beach. There's item 4.2, which is 8 Rankins Court, Wyong, demolition of heritage structure, and item 5.1, which relates to various demolition, remediation and repair works, including the replacement of a retaining wall at Pete Island, Mooney, 60 Pacific Highway, Pete Island Road, and the Pacific Highway, Mooney. The panel has been provided with assessment reports prepared by council staff. Site orientation has been undertaken electronically. Council staff have also briefed the panel on the key issues that the applications raise. Now, today, in terms of item 3.1, the public item, I have the following people registered to address the panel. The first, Karen Davis, is for the application, and then on behalf of the applicant, I believe present is Norman Hunter, the owner of Avoca Beach Theatre, Kane King from CKDS Principal Architect, Adam Crampton from ADW, he's a town planner, Daniel Holland, Northrop Civil Engineer, Braden Johnson from Johnson Projects CEO, Karen's, sorry if I mispronounce this, Zushnar, Johnson Projects Project Manager, and Dr. Philip Pollard, the View Consultant. Welcome everyone. I'd like to start the meeting by advising that there are some procedural issues relating to the matter to be considered at today's public meeting, item 3.1, which I will outline in more detail shortly. The first agenda item is 1.1, declarations of interest. I remind panel members of the requirements in the Code of Conduct for panel members about conflict of interest declarations. And I'll just ask, do any panel members have a declaration of interest which has not previously been made? Okay, sorry.
No, Madam Chair.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I've declared an insignificant non-pecuniary reasonably perceived conflict of interest in relation to item 4.1, and accordingly I won't participate in the meeting for that item, and that will instead be chaired by Michael File. Moving on to agenda item 2.1, the confirmation of minutes of the previous meeting. So the minutes of the panel meeting held on the 11th of April 2024, and so this includes any supplementary meetings, are submitted for noting, and they've been endorsed by the chair of that panel. So now moving on to agenda item 3, which is the development application in the public meeting. So as noted, there are some procedural issues associated with item 3.1, which include some technical difficulties experienced by council in issuing the business papers and relevant attachments to the panel for consideration as per the operational procedures. A set of the current proposed plans not being included with the business papers in error. And while these have been provided to the panel this morning, they've not been uploaded to the panel website. And it's also not clear if the public have been provided with access to the current set of proposed plans, or if they exist on the website, noting that council did not exhibit the latest set of plans. Further, it has come to our attention that not all people who lodged a submission to the original scheme may have received notification the week prior to the meeting of today's date, which is a requirement of the operational procedures. And we have been advised that some submitters were sent emails last week, so they would have met the requirements to have been notified the week prior. But the letters that went out to others that did not provide an email address that went out, they went out apparently on Wednesday. So it's not probably sufficient time to guarantee that everyone received their notification in the mail by the end of last week as required by the procedures. Accordingly, to ensure procedural fairness and transparency of the proposal before the panel, this public meeting will need to be rescheduled. Updated business papers will be required to include the proposed current set of plans. So there was an error in the business papers where attachment 1 should have been the plans. It includes the previously approved plans instead. And those plans need to be on council's website so that the public are aware of what is actually proposed that the panel is considering. All notifications of the meeting will need to be undertaken to meet the operational procedures so that people do receive notification the week prior to the meeting. And the panel also need to be provided with all relevant documentation at least a week prior to the meeting as per the operational procedures. We only received the plans this morning. So on that basis, I will take questions on any of those matters that I've just raised, but we have no option other than to really reschedule this meeting to defer consideration, because there are obviously a series of things that have happened, and all the information is not either publicly available or has been provided to the panel with sufficient time to consider the matter. We have checked with council when that process could be completed, so they would need to issue a supplementary report and provide that information on council's website and get those notifications undertaken. We've requested if that could possibly occur before the end of June, in which case it may come back to this panel, or it may come back to the panel that meets is scheduled to meet next month. If council is unable to complete within that amount of time, it may not come back to the panels that are currently constituted that close at the end of June. Apologies for that, but I'll just open it to questions. So because we have to reschedule the meeting, and there's only one member of the public that has registered to speak today, we're not sure if that is because of the difficulties associated with making sure that everybody has been notified within the required period of time or not. So we're not going to hear from speakers because the meeting is to be rescheduled, but I'm happy to answer any questions, not on the merits of the proposal, but in relation to what I've just outlined. Does anybody have any questions in relation to that? If so, take yourself off mute and you can ask the question. Do we still have just check who's in the meeting?
The speakers are still there.
Oh, the speakers are still there.
Yes, Karen. Karen's there.
Okay.
Karen Davis.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. So Karen, you understand that. I know we approved you to speak, even though you hadn't issued a written submission. You're the only member of the public that are registered to speak.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. It is what it is. If you haven't got the information or, as you need to hold the meeting, then that's okay.
Yeah. Okay. From the applicant, do you have any questions in relation to that, or do you understand the position we're in?
I do understand the position you're in. So you'll let us know. So when the next meeting will be rescheduled and we can just do the same, register again. Is that the idea?
The council's required to notify everybody that lodged a written submission to the original application. Now, I understand you didn't lodge a written submission, but I think that we'd ask just the panel secretariat to also notify you, given you've registered to speak here, of the rescheduled date.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I live in the local area and have been keeping I guess abreast with what's going on, but hadn't put a submission in for the previous DA.
Right.
No.
Well, thank you for attending today. So sorry about that. That's not going forward. From the applicant, there's a number of people here. I'm sorry that you've all got together today on this, but do you have any questions in relation to what I've had to outline? Nothing? I can see you, but I can't hear. And is there anyone from
This is where you'd be talking. Sorry, you're dealing with the Avoca Cinema proposal?
That's right. Yeah, item 3.1. Yeah.
Right, apologies. The applicant team has only just come onto the line. We had some difficulties, so it's our apology. The lady that's speaking, sorry, my name's Adam Crampton. I'm the town planner for the project.
Oh, okay.
We've only just joined the meeting.
You just joined. Council, can you just you confirmed previously that everyone was online? Were they not online?
We had clicked on a link. Sorry.
Sorry, well, I didn't really know who was, because I knew some of them were going to be sitting together. So
Okay. So
I
did
didn't really know who was going to be
everything I
together.
said?
Sorry?
Did you guys? No, sorry. The applicant's team. Did you miss everything I said?
Yes.
Yes, we've only been on for a minute,
Okay.
wondering what you were talking about.
Okay. Well, I won't. I mean, you've joined late, so I won't go through all the original part of the application. I'll just restate. Let me go back to the notes. So we got to agenda item 3, which are the development application in the public meeting. So I'll read that out again for your benefit. So as I'd noted at the beginning, there are some procedural issues associated with your item 3.1, which includes some technical difficulties experienced by council in issuing the business papers and relevant attachments to the panel for consideration as per the operational procedures. A set of the current proposed plans also not been included with the business papers. That was in error. We understand it should have been included at attachment 1. It wasn't there. And while the panel were provided with a set of the proposed plans this morning, they've yet to be uploaded to the panel website, and it's not clear if the public have been provided with access to the current set of plans on council's website, noting that council did not exhibit the latest set of plans. Further, it has come to our attention that not all people who lodged a submission to the original scheme may have received notification the week prior to the meeting of the panel meeting date, which is a requirement of the operational procedures. And what I noted there was that council has informed us that they did, whoever had an email address, they emailed all of those original submitters last week, which would meet the requirements of the procedures. But for those that did not include an email address, written notification was issued, but unfortunately it wasn't posted until we've been led to believe Wednesday. Now, everyone would have needed to have received their written notification to Australia Post by Friday, and 2 days is generally, not necessarily the date that every person would have received their notification for. And we have been advised that some people did not get their notification, and they've been notified this week. So there's a question mark over whether everyone has been notified the week prior to the meeting that needed to be notified of the fact that the meeting was occurring today. Accordingly, to ensure procedural fairness and transparency of the proposal before the panel, this public meeting will need to be rescheduled. So updated business papers will be required to include the proposed current set of plans to which the application relates, and also placed on Council's website. All notifications of the meeting will need to be undertaken to meet the operational procedures so that everybody has been notified the week prior to the meeting. And the panel also needs to be provided with all relevant documentation at least a week prior to the meeting. So obviously, not getting a set of the plans until this morning, we haven't had the opportunity to actually review those yet. We've been in briefings this morning. So on the basis of that, for those reasons, unfortunately, the panel meeting needs to be rescheduled. And the other thing that I indicated is that we have checked with Council on their timing in terms of being able to update the website, prepare the updated business papers with the correct attachments and any other issues that need to be corrected in them to refer to the relevant plans. And then also to undertake the notification period as required to meet the operational procedures. When that could be done by, there's a possibility that can be done with a special meeting established by the end of June. And it may either come back to this panel, or it may go to the June panel that's already constituted, or it may go to a new panel if that process cannot be completed for a June meeting date. It's obviously in everybody's interest that this gets sorted out as soon as possible. And we're not going to hear from speakers today on the technical issues or the merits of the application, because we haven't had enough time to digest in particular the plans that have come before us, but also to be sure that all members of the public that needed to be notified of this meeting have received their notification. Only one member of the public has registered to speak, which is the lady that was just speaking, Karen Davis. So that's why I was asking. I'm happy to take questions on what I've just delivered on process, but because it has to be rescheduled, then we won't get into questions on merit or technical issues.
If I can just confirm, the obviously one of the major issues is that potentially people that should have been notified weren't notified. Is that as distinct from Council being able to demonstrate that notification was sent but people have not received it?
Well, Council has advised us this morning that some of the submitters had an email address in their original submission, so that Council has emailed. We haven't got a transcript of how many. I mean, there's obviously quite a few people. How many people have been notified by email and how many people were notified by post? I'm not sure either what time on Wednesday last Wednesday the notification was sent out, and whether everybody that needed to be notified has been notified either by email or by letter and had that notification last week. They've received it by last week. That's what the operational procedures require. So, Adam, to answer your question, I guess there's uncertainty. We don't know. Council's advised that they have sent out letters, they've sent out emails. we don't know if it's gone to everyone. Everyone has received it.
Okay, so there's two parts. You don't know whether it went to what it should have gone to, and there's also the question of the date that it was received, or whether that's within the operational procedure guide. Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, that's
Well,
correct. And we also understand that attachment 1, which is a copy of the approved plans, council's advised us that was an error there. That should have been a copy of the proposed plans. We've been able to, we did find a set of plans on DA tracking website because we didn't have a set of the plans that are to which the assessment report relates until this morning. But that set of plans from DA Tracker was the set that was notified originally, and then we understand that there was a second set that was submitted that council determined shouldn't be notified because of lesser impact according to its DCP. We're not sure if that set is actually even on council's website. So we don't know at this point in time whether the public are aware of the current set of proposed plans because they are not attached to these business papers and they were not notified. So for that reason, we've got to be fair and transparent in the process, and both us as a panel need to know what we're considering and determining, and equally importantly, we need to be sure that the public knows what the current proposal includes or has access to that information.
I understand. I think that is hopefully my last question. You're right in the council did receive amended plans during the process and made the decision in accordance with their DCP to not re-notify because the changes were, if anything, reducing the scale of what was proposed. Is there now in the mind of the panel a question as to whether those plans should have been notified, or is it simply going to be sufficient if those current plans are uploaded to the portal with enough time for people to view them before the next meeting?
It's normally a matter for council, and that gets addressed in the assessment report of considering it as per their notification requirements. But normally when a council does, as you'd be aware, when a council does make a decision that in accordance with its DCP that it doesn't need to re-notify them, the information is still provided on the website, normally in
yes.
DA. And I'm not to say that that's not in there. There's quite a lot. There's so many submissions there that it's hard to find the other documents there. But equally, I think it's really important when a matter comes before a panel meeting that the proposed plans to which the matter relates, that the public can read the business papers in accordance with what the current plans are, and that's lacking at the moment.
Understand. All right, thank you. Thanks, Barry.
Okay, well, I'm sorry about that. So on that basis, I will now formally close this part of the meeting of the Central Coast Local Planning Panel, and thank everyone who attended. We will have a discussion post this public meeting on future meeting dates, and council will be in contact in relation to that, and another notification will be undertaken. So thank you, everyone, and I'll just close this meeting now, and I'll ask the panel to rejoin in the separate link for determination of the electronic matters. Thank you, everyone.